Hi, everyone. I'm David Moricca, founder and CEO of Socialive, coming to you from Los Angeles. And I am super excited to be joined today with Meghan McCartan, the CMO of Composition Wealth. Meghan, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, David.
Likewise. All right. So, just to start, because you have such amazing experience in the wealth industry, you've seen it evolve over the last, decade and plus.
A lot of years. Let's say a lot of years.
A few years. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you actually got into the wealth management industry.
For sure. So I never thought I wanted to be in the wealth management industry. I went to school for doing politics and government stuff. My first job, the candidate lost right away, and I cried and cried. And I said, I don't want to do politics anymore. So got into marketing. My first job was at a big broker dealer, and like a month in, I was like, what does this company even do? Because I didn't, and then I figured it out along the way. So I think that one of the things what drives me is being a storyteller. I love telling stories, and I love to be able to help other people tell stories. So that is something that I've really loved about being part of the wealth management industry. Just there's so many different types of people and different types of stories. And they might not know how to be able to get it out. So that's what kind of brought me and kept me, I would say, probably kept me more.
And so if you look at like the last 5 to 10 years in the wealth management industry, it seems to be a transformative phase. Mm-hmm. Can you share some of the big kind of dynamic changes you've seen in the industry during that time?
Yep. And I'm going to say the word that nobody likes to say, which is, during COVID, I think that forced a huge change. Obviously, everybody was, talking over Zoom. That became more comfortable. But I think the thing that was even more important for me is that advisors began talking about so many other things than financial advice. And that is huge. That opens the door. It makes people more accessible. Like, I can talk to you about your garden, and then we can touch on your portfolio. But it became like a level of being more close, a level of opening conversational topics. And I think that then kept it going, right? Like after COVID, people still were like, oh, I can talk to my advisor about all of these different types of things. And isn't that a lot more to look forward to than like I have to go get my taxes done or something? So I think that's been the biggest change, is being able to talk about more things, which then leads to another level of trust and also makes communication all the more important.
Well, and certainly there's been a great introduction of technology into the sector. Mm-hmm. Over these last 5 to 10 years, as well as a lot of more private equity investment on top of that. How are you seeing kind of the embracing of that technology, and what does it unlock for advisor teams and marketing teams that support them?
I think the technology unlocks efficiencies, right? Like you're able to rely on tech to be able to do a lot more of the communication, a lot more of the personal. Helps to augment expertise a little bit. And one of the things I would say with technology as well, as a person that yells for my children to turn on my TV because I can't do anything, it's also been, I feel like tech is getting easier. So that means it's easier for advisors or whomever to adopt it. I think that the downside, right, which everybody talks about, is don't be too reliant. Like you still have to have that. Use technology to enable you, not to become you.
Well, it's such a relationship-driven industry. So as we see the embracing of technology, it's still very clear, and the data shows that the human connection is still so crucial. Yep. It's the critical baseline with an advisor-client relationship. Mm-hmm. So why do you think kind of human connection and trust remain that foundation of advisor growth, whether you're a young client or a retiring client?
You want to have a person that you can talk about a lot of things with. And the more you have as an advisor, the more you have an open relationship like that with a client, you're going to be, without saying like, let me see other parts of your finance, they're just going to talk to you about it. So it's really relying, I think, to be an advisor, the biggest factor that you have to have is that ability to want to talk to anybody about anything. And if you can't do that, I think it's going to be a tough road to hoe.
It's interesting, right? Because a lot of the expertise can get commoditized over time. What can't get commoditized is that EQ and that relationship building approach, which I think is true of a lot of industries, actually. Right? I have a 16-year-old. We're talking a lot about the future of jobs, and that intangible of EQ and building relationships is so critical. Well, so one thing I love, obviously, given that I'm the founder of a video company, is that you have been an early adopter of video in the wealth space. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you've decided that video plays a key role in building credibility with clients?
I think I'm going to caveat that also, David, that video that is warm and conversational, that's what builds the key role. We had one advisor who was starting a video series, and he was calling it Fireside Chats, and he actually did it in front of his fireplace. And in the office, he was always wearing a tie and everything. And he did one in front of his fireplace, just wearing a sweater. And then the next week went back to his tie, and everybody emailed him. They were like, "Go, but just wear the sweater.
Wear the sweater.
It's more approachable." And I think that's also probably one of the things that stands in an advisor's way. They worry, I have to make this perfect. People like imperfection. One of our advisors, they did a ton of different podcasts and webcasts. The one that was most popular is one that they recorded where they kind of didn't know they were recording. It was like the investment committee just chitter-chattering. And people like kind of being a little bit on the insider. They like to not feel like, oh, this person's like, I have to be on my, just having a fun conversation and being approachable and being yourself. I think that is the key, and that's what video enables, right? And it enables you to be able to connect more, easily. And people, everybody watches video all day, right? So that's what they're used to.
Well, and you're already starting to touch on it a little bit, but let's go a little deeper in terms of what are the common barriers you see to getting advisors comfortable on video and kind of creating some of that environment around video use?
Yeah, I think everybody says, I hate watching myself on video. I hate listening to myself, right? Like, me too. We're working with someone that's helping some of our folks practice a little bit with video. And so that's not like media training. It's really like, how do you show up well on video? And I think it's getting some advice from someone that you trust that's like, okay, you're talking way too slow. Like you're moving around too much. So one or two sessions makes all the difference. And then I think, but I think that's really the thing that stops people is like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's too hard. Who's going to edit it? Now compliance has to go through all of this stuff. And it just seems like one more thing that's on an already busy day. So that's where I would say, as technology becomes easier, as it all gets worked together, this is something that allows you to present yourself and be yourself. So don't eschew it.
It's so true. I mean, if we look at the data too, I say both quantitatively and then qualitatively, what I've seen is for sure quantitatively authentic video plays. Like it always performs the best, even for myself.
Yep.
And then what I've seen at wealth firms is there's usually initial resistance, and you need to get kind of a few advisors and leaders to kind of jump in and be the catalyst. And then typically there's quite a bit of FOMO effect that gets others to adopt. Can you share a little bit about what you've seen in that direction? Is that similar?
Well, and I think, one of the things that we're doing and to make it a little bit more approachable, like we're starting this whole composition chapters. We're doing like webinars with a bunch of different types of folks talking about things that are not necessarily financial. And I'm going to lead some of them just kind of like, to be able to show people like, this is easy. And here, one way you can engage with this, take our video, just put 1 minute of your thoughts on it, and then you can use it, right? Like, here's how it's easy and approachable. And I think exactly to your point, that's why we picked 5 people to go through this video training so that then people say, oh, I see where they were and how quickly they were to be good. And I could do that. Right. So I think it is the FOMO, and it's just making sure that you're setting people up to be their best self,
Yeah, 100%. So one thing I've seen, and I spoke about this at Wealth Management Edge, you were in our talk, and I said, I've seen it over and over consistently across all organizations in every industry. But a culture of video tends to start within leadership. And if you can kind of get leadership to buy in, you see that trickle down effect. Are you seeing the same thing? And how have you been able to create a culture of video with leadership within Composition Wealth?
We so what I'm starting, right? And then our CEO. I don't know if you hear the dumb dog. I'm sorry.
We hear it, but it sounds like he's excited about video.
He
wants to be on the podcast.
I started a whole podcast or a whole series with our CEO and our CFO. And one of the things with Matt, our CFO, is I made him like very approachable. I call him the friendly CFO. And he's like, you're making me into the Mr. Roberts of the RIA world. And I was like, you got to go, right? Like now you're more approachable. Those two being able to get on and like just do the convos back and forth, exactly to your point. Advisors see that and they're like, okay, like I see where this can go. And like, it's another way. How much you'd much rather watch two guys talking back and forth than read a long, boring paper. So I think also a piece is like identifying a couple people that you know are going to be good and tapping into them so that then it, you're looking good from the beginning.
Yeah, great. And I know it's probably early days, but as you look at some of the metrics around video and kind of performance around video, what are some early results you're seeing? And what are some of the use cases that tie in most to, I guess, revenue generation or client retention or whatever is really important to your business?
I think I have more of a focus on referrals and driving conversations than the conversations that drive referrals. So I feel like that's where video makes a big difference because and that's where like a big measure of success for us, being able to have these videos that are easy to share. And if I'm a client of an advisor and I get a video about this interesting thing, I'm going to, I know two people that would like this. I think that's a much easier forward. That's a much easier share than like a long paper. So I think that's what I would most look for in success. Like how much is this getting shared? How much is this driving referrals? That to me is where video is a really sweet spot.
Well, it's super interesting, right? Because what you're saying is it's not necessarily a direct conversion in kind of like a digital lead gen sense. It may be, but generally that's not the core. It's how the industry has largely built its client base, which has been a referral driven. And now it's giving you the scale that video could potentially deliver. So Meghan, I know that your team at Composition has been doing some great webinar content, long form podcast content. How do you think about how long form then plays with short form?
I think that's another reason why video and is so key, because you spend 30 minutes, 20 minutes on a video and it is not done. Like that is not it. By the way, you can then use the replays. You can take the replay and pull out a line for it and send that to a client. You could get little shorts to put all over social. Take your video and write, a listicle, like 10 top things about social that you can learn, a blog post. There's so much stuff. It can never be looked at as just one standalone asset. You have to mine it for all of these different kinds of things. And that makes the time spent so much more worth it. And also like, it's just such a rich content source. So like any advisor putting in a little bit of time, it yields buckets.
So how are you thinking about AI and what AI can do to remove friction while preserving authenticity, I guess, in video?
Yeah. AI should remove friction and and preserve authenticity. Like AI can help you. Like AI has been a big help for us with compliance approvals because like we can run anything through, and before a compliance person has to take their time, right? And I know with Socialive, it's also like then real easy to make an edit if compliance calls it. So that's one more barrier removed for an advisor using it. I think AI can help you identify who you want to be able to speak with. It can help you put together your initial thoughts. You then have to go in and make them your own. That's like your viewpoint has to be there. And so I think that use AI as a crutch, not as your entire walking apparatus.
What I will tell you is we are already working on a prompt-based engine that can automate some of the production and editing of content, both static content and turn into video, as well as recorded content, and literally automate the editing process and create brand themes and have even a compliance check as part of it. So we look at that as anything that can accelerate the process to get content out to market while maintaining that authentic human connection. Like that's where we're at.
Exactly. I mean, I've been having like, even if you're doing a chat on a website, right? Instantly I write representative. I don't want your like, and I know that's different than an avatar. Yeah. Like I don't want your AI, like I want a person, and I'll wait longer for that. So, but what you're doing is exactly, it's removing the friction, and that's key.
Can you share why you chose to adopt Socialive for your team? What attracted you to Socialive?
The thing that stood out was, even at the time, like before what you're announcing, like the ability to do to edit like quickly. Like otherwise it would take us, 8 hours to edit even a short video, right? Like this, we can do it a lot more quickly, move a little bit more quickly. I will say that the experience, I mean, we're all used to Zoom. The experience of Socialive, of like the green room and all of these kinds of things, is such an elevated experience. So that's been a big plus for us. And I will say as well, the thing that is making me like a big advocate for Socialive is just the involvement, like your involvement, the customer service team, like the product guys, like everybody, y'all want to be there and you want to make sure that the customer is happy. So that's may sound obvious. It's not frequent. So
you don't always see it in technology. I mean, the whole theme of our conversation has been relationships and, maintaining relationships. Guess what? To be a successful technology company, particularly at enterprises like yours, like it's about relationships, and not just for the sake of the relationship, because you want to deliver for that partner, and so they can meet their goals. So I appreciate you saying that, and obviously really grateful for having you as a customer of Socialive. And I guess one final question I have here is, what excites you the most about the future of advisor-client engagement?
I think it kind of like what I hit on before, like the ability to just have natural conversations that come up like that, then there's more opportunities. And, like, I don't know if I'm ready to talk about this yet, but I was thinking of a beach house or whatever. Great. Let's build into that, and having those be a natural part of conversation, just because conversations become more varied and more rich, as opposed to like, let me see your other accounts that I might, so just the fact that as the relationships get closer and closer, there's so much more opportunity on both sides to be better partners.
One final question, actually. What is the biggest trend you see that excites you? And what's the biggest trend that concerns you right now?
The biggest trend that concerns me is using AI to do your business, to do your communications, to do all of those kinds of things. Biggest trend that excites me is I think people just leaning into like kind of creative ways to reach out, leaning into like not just doing the standard, leaning into like different types of events, different types of communications. Like I think that's cool, because then it is going to really reinforce, like I said, the conversations that are a lot more rich.
Love it. So it's interesting, it's not only technology, but technology as an enabler and technology is a threat, which I guess is the world we live in, right? We need to figure out how smartly to use this technology versus it potentially inhibiting us in some ways.
Right.
Well, this has been an amazing conversation. Again, I'm here with Meghan McCartan, CMO of Composition Wealth, and thankfully she's a customer of Socialive, and we are really excited to be partnering with her and learning so much from her, and hope you all have enjoyed our talk today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, David.